Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guest tonight he's a filmmaker and writer, Gabriel Kirk. How's it going, Gabriel?
Doing pretty good, Robin. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about your indie horror short. Whose House Is It? Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the story is actually a pretty personal story that, but basically, long story short, I was impressed upon by a friend of mine named Alex Caperton, who's also a filmmaker. He's been doing films for years. He's helped me on projects. In fact, he even stars as a supporting actor in this film. He encouraged me to turn this into a short film, something that I didn't really want to do for a long time because it had been something kind of personal. But it's basically a story. A man buys a new house and he moves in and finds out that there's something there that's been left behind by the people who used to live there. It sort of has a supernatural reaction, and he's able to resist it, and it leaves the house. But then he finds out a couple days later that the former owners of the house have refused to move on and have actually been driving and sitting outside of his house, the whole family sitting in a car and perhaps either casting spells or just giving it an evil eye. But, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, it has a unsolved mysteries type of vibe to it, too.
Oh, yes. I was a fan of that show as a kid. And the cinematographer and the editor for the film, Jake Danger Jolly, he is a friend of mine, and he's also a fan of that show and of the whole personal encounter, where you just interview somebody and they give their own personal story, and then you have a reenactment of that story. I feel it gives it a real personal touch, and I thought, you know what, if we do this thing, why don't we give it that unsolved mysteries feel to it, where you just interview somebody and then have the reenactment. And both of us thought, we've been to a number of, this was my second Fright film that I've been to, but we've been to other film festivals, and we have never seen anyone do that before. Now, I'm not saying no one has, because obviously they have. I'm sure someone out there has done it for an indie short, but we hadn't seen that before, and we were certain that no one else was going to do that at Fright Films, so we were happy to be the only ones who did.
Yeah, so when you did this movie, how you're saying it was really hard for you, what's so personal about it that really made you do this?
It's fascinating you ask that, Robin, because for me, a lot of people, I understand that everybody has different beliefs about the supernatural. Some are materialists, and other people are spiritual but not religious, and other people are religious and have different religious backgrounds. I understand we all come from different backgrounds and have our own beliefs on things. But especially I found culturally, living in the Western world, that whole broad category of people who live from Europe to North America to Oceania, that whole cultural mindset is one where religiously people may accept that the supernatural is real, but the idea of somebody having an encounter with the supernatural is a good way to get your reputation ruined in certain circles. You don't want to be known as that guy. And I'll just say this. In 2000, it was actually right after I bought my house in 2015. Took a while to fix that house up. And I basically, this whole story is my story. It's something that happened to me. I've never had something like that happen before. And I've never had something like that happen since. And it has given me, it's kind of given me a sympathy for people who have had incidents in their life that they cannot explain, and that was very, very real and personal to them. Anybody can, it's very easy to dismiss something supernatural that happens as, oh, well, you imagined it, it was a dream, or you were high, or any number of things, you can explain. But I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't have any history of mental illness, either for myself or for my family. Basically about as good as it gets in that department. And I had this incident take place in which I was fully aware and conscious. And I didn't tell anybody about it for the longest time, because you're going to get reactions. People are either going to think that you're crazy, or that you have a hyper imagination, or they're just going to dismiss the whole thing out, not even intellectually analyze it whatsoever. So I'll say that I kind of came from a background where we didn't really give much credence to a lot of, like people saying that they had something happen to them. It's like, oh, well, you just dismiss it. No, nothing to see here, sort of a thing. But after it happened to me, and it was very real, it kind of gave me more of a sympathy towards people who have had things happen to them, and they're afraid to say what they've been through because of a fear of the stigma involved with it. So, but after many years, I've only told a few people, and Alex 100% believed me, and he said, this would make an awesome short film, Gabe. You got to do this. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't think I want to dive into that realm. But I was watching something earlier this year, and it just kind of hit me. You know what? Maybe now is the time to come out and just share something that happened to me. And if people, if people think I'm just making it up, that's fine. Maybe that's better for me if they think that, but at the same time, maybe other people will feel more encouraged to say things that happen to them and not be stigmatized as a crazy person.
So, that's cool how you made the film like that. I give you props for it, man. That took a lot of encouragement from your friends, and it was pretty brave, and I'm glad you did. So, what type of paranormal activity was at your house that you based the film off? Was it more like demonic? Was it like entity, or was it what?
There's a broad spectrum of any number of things that people may believe what these things are. And I'll just say, I'm fully honest. With my own, we all have our own preconceived notions of what an entity is, what a ghost is, what a demonic is. And, I grew up Christian, and I'm a Christian. And so I just naturally, my mind goes, there's rapping on my wall. There's these weird things happening in my house. And so my mind just goes, it's demonic. If you've ever seen any of the Conjuring films, that's just where my mind goes instantly. And it was a weird realization, because this is the second night that I'm in my new house, and it was a nasty house. It was awful. It took me 3 months to rehab that house, and I had to pay a lot of money to get it fixed. But I move in, there's like all kinds of weird stuff. There was dog poop in the vents. There was pentagrams drawn in there. There was weird cryptic messages people had written on the walls, and they had totally trashed that place. And so second night, I'm in there. I'm just sitting there watching TV, and I'm hearing like little knock like that. And it's coming from my garage door, like, and the door into my garage. So I go over there. I hope there's nothing there. I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's an animal. And then I go sit back down, and it starts again, just a little knock. And I'm investigating, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody's messing with me. So I go around my house, and I have no fence. It's a corner lot where there's nowhere for anyone to hide. So, and I'm just hearing it plain as day. It's not the house settling. It's someone literally knocking. And so I go around my house. There's nobody there. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I hear it again. And this time I'm standing right in front of the door that goes into my garage. And I'm watching the door, looking at it as I'm hearing a knock on the door right in front of me. And I open it real quick. Nobody's there. There's nothing in my garage except a handful of boxes. And at this point, I'm thinking some hobo's gotten into my garage. So I just go in my garage. I'm like, okay, if there's anybody here, I'm opening the garage door. I'm not going to call the police. Just get out. All right. Just leave. And I open the garage door. There's nobody. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere. And it's all open. And so nothing. I just close my garage door, and I'm getting really disturbed by this point. It's getting really weird. And so I'm sitting down, and this time I'm just expecting it. and I'm hearing the knock. And then this time I start hearing a knock coming from different parts of the house. And, there's no real logical explanation for that. It's coming from all different parts of my house here this time. I hear it coming from the kitchen behind me. And I'm like, what in the world? And then all of a sudden I get this like sinking feeling that, man, I am not alone in this house and it's not human. This has got to be something like demonic. And all the pictures in my head, I wanted to do this for the film, but budget and time constraints prevented me. I had a little montage in my head where I'm just seeing all the nasty and weird Horcrux type stuff that I found in the house. And it just hits me. Something spiritual is like going on here. So I was taught ever since I was a little kid, my mom used to teach me, she's like, hey, you ever get freaked out? Just like do what the Bible says to do. Rebuke it in the name of Jesus. So I'm just like, I'm going to do that. So I stand up and, I'm just like, demons, you got to leave. I'm like, you got to get out in the name of, I felt, God is my witness, Robin. I felt something like grabbing, not choke me, nothing cartoonish or anything like that. Like, not like a forced choke. I mean, literally felt something on the inside of me, like just grab me and hold me so I couldn't talk. And every time I tried to say the name of Jesus, just like held my voice box shut, like I couldn't talk. And it freaked me it just freaked me out really bad because it doesn't make any sense. I was just going to try to make myself feel better. And now there's actually something holding me down. And then as I'm saying this, it's like the whole house just felt super heavy. And it was like it was pushing down. I felt like, it's hard to explain it. It felt like the air was just like pushing me down into the ground. And it's hard to explain, but I can't talk and it's pushing me down. And I'm like, I have no idea like what I'm going to do. And so I just somehow I'm praying. I'm like, God, I need help because I am getting my butt kicked right now. I can't talk. I can't do anything. I need help, man. I need help. And so I just prayed that in my mind. I just prayed that. And then all of a sudden, just through sheer force of will, like I'm feeling something hold me. And I just say like, Jesus, like that. And as I like grit it out, I'm like speaking through my teeth. I'm just like, Jesus, like that. Mm-hmm. I start saying it. And I started to feel like the house felt like it was shaking just a little bit. Nothing cartoonish, not like a earthquake or anything. I just felt it like, it just started like, vibrating. It just started vibrating like this. But I just felt like everything in this house was hating what I was doing and what was happening. It was like it was a real fight, like a struggle, a wrestling match for the house. It's like I am a fan of the Conjuring movies, just throwing that out there. And I think, I don't know what to believe about some of those stories. I'm pretty sure they're greatly exaggerated. But I do believe that there's something to what Ed and Lorraine Warren said, which was there's like 3 phases of demonic attack, which is it starts with infestation, then it goes to depression or oppression. It's oppression, and then it's possession. And I felt like I was instantly confronted with like all 3 pretty quick. Like instead of a slow beat down, maybe it's because I realized what was happening so fast and that I tried to fight it and then it pushed back pretty hard. Maybe that's what it was. But I just started screaming. I was screaming Jesus at this point. I'm thinking, well, maybe someone's going to call the cops on me. But like the whole house is just like vibrating and like I could feel the atmosphere just recoil. And then I instantly tried to put the onus off of me and onto God, someone bigger than myself. So I just said, you know what? I said, God, I give you this house. This house belongs to you. Everything that I own, I give to you. And I just said, you hear that, demons? I'm like, this house isn't mine. It's God's now. So you got to deal with him about it. And so I said, leave this place and never come back in the name of Jesus. And as I said that, like all of a sudden, everything stopped. Like the house stopped vibrating. All of a sudden, like all the oppression that I was feeling, it just disappeared. Like the whole house just felt like the atmosphere was just different. And I was super excited about it. I was feeling pretty empowered by the whole thing. But then like a few days go by, everything is fine. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to believe that no more demons or entities are going to come back into this place. So I just meet some of my neighbors. One of my neighbors across the street came and met me, and he was talking with me and asked me how I liked the place. And I just told him a little bit about like some of the weird stuff I found, but he instantly went in. I just need you to know, is like the people who used to live in your house, they were super weird people. They were constantly, there was all kinds of like ruckus and noise like coming from their house. They were like, I guess probably arguing with each other, screaming at each other. He said their daughter was into witchcraft or stuff like that. I'm like, well, I did find a pentagram in my house. I mean, but I'm sure lots of teenage girls play with that stuff. You know, I wouldn't think anything. But like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is all making sense now. But then he told me, he's like, yeah, I even told him, I'm like, I still get their mail, all of this. And he's like, yeah, they would totally do something like that. And he said, I didn't want to freak you out though, Gabe. He's like, I don't want to freak you out, but that family that used to live in your house, the last few nights, they've come back and they are sitting in their car, just right across the street, right from where I'm at. They're sitting in their car and they're staring at your house like the whole night. He said, I got out and I just looked out my window and I've seen them staring at your house. And I'm like, okay, that's really freaking disturbing. So that night, like the next several nights, I turn out the lights in my house and I look at them through like binoculars and stuff. I'm looking at them and there's that whole family. There's like 4 of them. I think there's 4. And I just remember them staring into the house. And they were like, I could see a little cigarette smoke, you know, or this little cigarette light up. And I'm like, wow, these people, are they going to like try to rob my house? Or are they like trying to put a hex on my house? That was just what I was thinking is, are they like trying to, you know, I've heard of like spirit projection and stuff like that. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Are they trying to put a curse on me or something? So I just watch them and they just sit there. They don't talk. They all just sit very quietly in their car. And their car's running too, and they just stare at my house for the longest time, and they don't say anything. It's a really weird situation. So at one point, I actually just go out, and I stand like not too far from their car, and I just wave at them. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. I can see you. If you do anything, I'll call the cops." And they just coolly look at me and smoke their cigarette, like they were not intimidated at all by me. This went on for the longest time, but eventually, I think it was like a week or so of them just coming out and staring at the house. They leave. And it wasn't until like some time later, I found out that family, I do know their last name. I won't say their last name for privacy purposes, but that family moved down the street from where I lived. So that was also not comforting to know they were that close. But all of that, I only shared that with like a few people, but before that we did this, and my friend Alex Caperton just encouraged me to do this film. He's like, I got to play the neighbor across the street. You got to let me play him. And I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's a great actor anyway. But we did this film, and then the whole time I'm thinking, should I put this is based on a true story? Because I'm starting to feel nervous about, I'm going to get all kinds of stigma and be that crazy guy, you know. But like I said, this isn't like a regular occurrence. One time in my whole 38 years of life, and I'm 38 now, this is several years ago, but yeah, that was the story, and I just decided to turn that into a film and wanted to see if anybody else has their own personal stories.
That's pretty cool and creepy at the same time. So you filmed your film in your house too, right?
Well, actually, no. We filmed this at another location. My house, the house that this actually took place in, I still own it, but I rent it to people. So I couldn't be like, hey, by the way, can I film? You know, they're my renters, so I can't be like, hey, can we film this film here at the house? By the way, it used to be haunted. So I didn't feel right about that. So I ended up having a friend, an acting friend of mine. He actually is in the film. His name's Daniel Smale. That's his house. And I thought that the vibe of the house was way more cool than my house, because my house was just a ranch on a corner lot, and it's only like 20 years old. My friend Daniel Smale, he's got two small parts in the film. At the very beginning, he's one of the guys carrying the boxes into the house, and then at the very end, he's the guy driving the car of the family, and you just see like his eyes at the very end. His house was way cooler to do this film in. It just had that creepy vibe to it, so we used his.
And also at Fright Film Competition, it was my first year going there, and I felt like part of the family. There was a lot of, great films and a lot of talented filmmakers. And your film was nominated for Best Picture and Cinematography.
Yeah, we were very happy to be nominated. We had a total of 5 nominations. Best Picture, Best Cinematographer, which was Jake, and Best Editing, also Jake. And then I was nominated for Best Director. Super happy about that. And we were even nominated for Best Use of 1 minute. So part of the rules of Fright Film was you can only do 13 minutes. That's the top. That's the cap of how long your film can be. And then you have to do one continuous shot for 1 minute, 60 seconds. So we were even nominated for that right there. And a lot of that goes credit to Jake Jolly as a pretty much a co-creator of this. He had a lot of input on how this film should be made. And a lot of the credit goes to him for that, as well as the actors. They were all very, very good and participated very well.
So how long did it take you to film it?
We actually had, it took longer than I was actually expecting. I thought, because I'm pie in the sky director here, I'm thinking I can knock out this film in like 2 days and maybe do some ADR on another day, which is how we did it. But it ended up, we needed reshoots. We filmed it the first time in the original cut. A lot of our footage just turned out bad because one is we're amateur film creators. Jake is the one with the most the most experience, I'd say. Alex also has a lot of experience, but some of the filming, was at night, in the dead of night. So you have very little light. And a lot of people say, for a lot of these types of scenes, you should not film just directly at night. The illumination was bad, so we couldn't use a lot of our footage. And I was disappointed about the first cut because we had to use heavy footage of me being interviewed. And I felt like, this isn't going to be good. It's just going to be me up there talking half the time with a few shots of other people. So we had to go back and refilm some of those shots. But we figured it out. We figured out how to use our lighting better. And this was a learning experience for anybody who wants to learn film. Some tips, you can get some great tips online. YouTube is a great source. But some of it, you don't know how it's going to look until you just do it. So you've got to get out there and use all kinds of illumination. And we had special illumination equipment, lighting. And we just experimented until we got the shots that we wanted. And the red lights inside the car to give it this sinister look. We were trying to hold lights over the car, and it was just so dark, and we weren't sure what to do. And then I thought, well, why don't we just put the lights on the inside of the car? And so we did that, and it gave it this like ethereal, eldritch horror type of a glow on the inside. I'm like, that's it right there. And then we had fog machines. We wanted to give it that sort of, also that ethereal look with fog. And we could not get fog very well. We had 2 fog machines, or we actually could only use one. And then, believe it or not, we had Jess Griesheimer. She's married to the guy who is Daniel Griesheimer, guy who is playing the younger version of myself, the main lead there. She also had a brief part at the beginning carrying the boxes into the house. She got down by the car, Robin, and she was right underneath where the camera was, and she's getting she's smoking I believe it's an e-cigarette, and she's blowing smoke over the top of the windshield to give it that look. And she did it so much that she actually got like a buzz from it. but she Jess is great, and she said, I knew my vice was going to come in handy one of these days, but it looked great with the smoke going over the front, and that's just her smoking an e-cigarette and blowing the smoke over the windshield. But yeah, you just never know how some of the visuals are going to turn out until you try it and it doesn't work, and then you try it a different way until you get the look that you want.
Hey, that's brilliant. So what's your next project you're going to be doing?
Well, right now, as far as actual making a film, my brother, who I want to give a shout out to him, my brother Sam Kirk, he is an amazing musician. He did an original score for the film, and it's I would have loved to have seen him nominated. He got nominated 2 years ago. We did a film called El Duende that was mostly in Spanish, and he did the music for that. He was nominated at Fright Film for Best Original Score. But he still did a fantastic job, made a great score for the film. He and I are working on a feature-length project that we want. The script is not 100% done yet. We're getting there. But we have a lot of people who have signed on to collaborate and make this thing into a reality. It's, without giving anything away, it's basically, think of Indiana Jones in a haunted house. So it's everything that you want to see. It's basically a murder mystery / is it haunted / memorable characters in that way. So, but action as well. So we wanted to take all of our favorite themes and kind of put them into one movie. It is called Moonlighters, but we're hoping to be able to do principal photography for that. TBD, maybe late 2024. Once some funding has been done and full casting has been done. But that's kind of down the road. In the short term, I want to give a shout out to Jake Jolly from Clay Zombies fame. He is doing a Clay Zombies Christmas special that's going to be coming out here at Christmas time in December. So I get to reprise my role of Emilio Answorth, the very dumb yet evil villain of the film. So I'm happy to reprise the role and to reconnect with a lot of those people.
So where can everybody find you on social media to see what you're going to be doing next?
Yeah, if you want to find me on social media, I'm very easy to find. There's not a lot of people with my name. My name is Gabriel Kirk, Kirk, just like Captain Kirk. You can find me on Facebook, and my Instagram handle is Gabriel Kirk 777. So you can easily find me there. I have an IMDb page with my talent agent, Johanna McGinley of PCG Talent Columbus. So you can easily find me there, IMDb. And then Gabe Kirk, GABEKIRK, GabeKirk.com.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Robin.
It was a blast. And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop.